we're being a bit circumspect on this bad news is good news situation. For most of this year, we have been reminding clients that there are bullish arguments as well as bearish ones. But I think what we're looking at now is that as markets have been rallying, as a bit of risk on appears to have come back, there are far more yellow and even red flags about the probability of a global recession in the next 2 to 3 quarters, which we think is now above 50%. And that's a big change to our view. So we're actually staying with a defensive strategy. We're not moving more risk on. We're recommending a preference for defensive low beta stocks and sectors, which we've done since November last year. And that strategy we think is a good call worth sticking with.
I mean, there are multiple buckets of cold water at the moment being poured on that narrative about the Fed pivot, right? From Neil Kashkari to Larry Summers to recently former New York President Bill Dudley even saying that investors have become strangely optimistic about the idea that the Fed won't have to tighten so much in the face of inflation. I mean, do you think that maybe we should be listening to them and that we should brace ourselves for more volatility down the line?
Yeah, so I think a lot of investors are focusing on the question of will inflation fade or not. But I think there's a danger investors are asking the wrong question, because it seems pretty clear to us that core inflation will fade meaningfully. I mean, 2/3 of it in the US is coming from energy, food, or categories of goods that experience supply chain disruption. And you just look at yesterday's ISM manufacturing survey on prices paid or delivery times or order backlogs. All of that is going to normalize, and energy and food prices are going to not be the same contributor that they have been. What the question that investors need to ask, rather, is will inflation fade by late next year by as much as economic forecasts and bond market pricing currently suggests? And our answer to that is that an awful lot has to go to plan to get there. And so we think inflation resilient stocks are still worth having. Look, I'm not a sort of Larry Summers, and that sort of persistently high inflation is here to stay, but inflation resilient stocks are still worth having.